My name is Quenisha Taylor, and the name of my presentation is Fakers Are Takers.
My name is James.
All right. So I'm here to inform that most rappers they're not truthful. So be careful who you listen to. And the rapper that I decided to be an example and inform you of was Rick Ross. His real name was William Leonard Roberts II. He was born January 28th, 1976 in Mississippi. And in his raps, he claims to do drug dealing and he claims that he met drug dealers like that was in the drug cartel back in the 1980s and 1990s. And really, as a kid coming up, Rick Ross was he learned from those drug cartels. And right here it says Rick Ross started rap lyrics romanticizing the money gained from dealing drugs, an act that he saw as a child. He looked at his performing name Rick Ross from hearing stories of a drug trafficker named Freeway Rick Ross. Rick Ross, before he became a rapper in the limelight, he was a security guard in Florida Correctional Facility. Okay, then here we have the real Rick Ross. His name is Ricky Donnell Ross. And Ricky Ross, he was born May 3rd, 1960. He was born in South Central California, and his dreams was to be basically a tennis player, but that all changed. He was actually kicked out of school because his tennis coach felt like he wasn't smart enough. He basically thought he was illiterate, so he kicked him out of tennis. He later ended up in college, and when he was 19, he actually ran into a teacher that he was close to that ended up getting him hooked on selling crack cocaine. So, which led him to be the biggest drug dealer of South Central, turning South Central upside down. At that time, the real Rick Ross, he saw it to be, he was making good money. So he basically threw tennis down the drain and went to drug dealing. Now that Rick Ross, his life was turned around, that was back in the 1980s and in the early 1990s, he realized when he was incarcerated, he got life in prison, but they changed his sentence to 20 years in prison. Now he's realized what he's did to his community, South Central, and he's willing to turn that around and be a mentor and a public leader / public speaker for South Central. Back on Rick Ross, the rapper. Rick Ross, the rapper, his very first song was called Hustling when he first came out. Of course, everybody loved his stuff because it was what was selling at the time. And on his very first song, in verse 1, at the end, he said, I know Pablo Noriega, the real Noriega. He owed me 100 favors. I ain't pretty, but we buy the whole thing. See, most of my really still deal cocaine. Now, like I stated in my previous slide, we found out later in Rick Ross's rap career, the rapper William Leonard Roberts II, he romanticized money gained from dealing drugs, and he saw this as an act when he was a child coming up. And when he was a security guard at a correctional facility, he was hearing stories of the freeway, which was the real Rick Ross. And this is where he got his verses from on Hustling. On verse 2, towards the end of his verse, he put, "We never steal cars, but we deal hard, whip it real hard, whip it real hard." Well, that was like a insult to Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, Ricky Donnell Ross, because he actually was stealing cars when he was a child coming up before he started doing drugs. And these were some of the things that Rick Ross, the rapper, found out while he was a correctional facility. So my point is, Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, he has better plans now. Even though both of them, what they did wasn't such a bright idea, but now the real Rick Ross, his intentions are better. But my point is, watch who you let influence you, even though you have great dreams. The wrong person in your life could mess that up.